Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Husna Khairani, and today I would like to talk about reading. So, what reading is? It is actually quite hard to define what reading is, but from what I have read from the reading material, I get into the conclusion that reading is a cognitive process that we undergo to achieve purposes by using knowledge resources. In reading, the purpose that we want to achieve determines the method that we use. For example, for skimming and scanning, we use skimming and scanning if we want to look for certain information, maybe in magazine, manual, and so on. But we read carefully and thoroughly if we want to learn about that information. As a second language readers, there are like basically two main purposes that we want to achieve. The first one is reading to understand and also reading to learn. We also have like reading to integrate information and also reading to evaluate critically. In reading, we as a reader actually engage in three levels of processing. The first one is the phonology, morphology, syntactic, semantic, and discourse level, which lead us to the second level, which is comprehension building, and also the third level, the underlying general cognitive resources. And next one, we will talk about the reading in a second language. Actually, as a second language readers, we undergo like a more complex cognitive processes, which somehow different from our first language reading comprehension. It is related to several points or aspects. The first one is the different in starting points. So, as a second language, of course, we start to learning the language much later than our first language. That's why we have limited access to our reading resources, such as and also include such as grammar, vocabulary, and also syntactic structure, and so on. While for our first language, because we learn it from since birth, since we are a child, so we have like abundance of amount of resource and information. And also the next one is like the difference in first language and second language. The first one is like the first language trans effect in our second language comprehension. So it is despite the probability that the our second language cognitive process is different from our first language cognitive process, our reading process, it is undeniable that our that when we learn our second language reading or comprehension process, we were influenced by our first language reading experience. And next one we have like as a second language readers, we have a greater awareness about linguistic knowledge because we developed our meta linguistic knowledge and also our metacognitive knowledge through second language reading. And the difference is also, as I have mentioned before, is the amount of exposure that we have as a second language readers, because we have limited resources and exposure to the second language. That's what make it different, maybe in ability and also our cognitive process. And the last one is our social and cultural resources differences between first language and second language. So as a second language reader, we more likely to get confused when we are faced with text or something that contains cultural or social aspect. Even though we get confused, we can understand it, but maybe we will like need more times than when we do it in our first language. And after the differences, we also have the similarities between our first language and second language reading. So as we as a second language readers become more fluent and also skilled in proficiency in our second language reading, it will close the gap between the second language and our first language reading comprehension or reading process. So we will more likely to have similar process to our first language if we are already fluent and skilled in our second language. And resources also stated that the higher level skills uh, of, of the second both of our second language and first language is actually essentially the same. And next we will uh, talk about the processes in second language comprehension. So it is like the ability to our we comprehend something in our comprehend the information in our second language. It is depends on the task, our motivation, our goals, and also our language ability. It is also related to some aspects. The first one is our lower level processing skills. It is like the skills that we acquired unconsciously, and it is applied automatically, like since it is unconscious, so we cannot suppress that ability. We will automatically do the process in our brain, in our mind. And it is include something like word recognition and also syntactic parsing, which involves phrasal, and also semantic proposition formation, which involves the clauses. And then next we have the higher level processing skills. It is basically what we know as reading comprehension. So it involves something like how we extract ideas from sources to get into the main point of the sources, and also how we combine our reading strategies to achieve the maximal or effective way of reading comprehension, and also how we interpret the text. It is actually the further application of our lower level processing skills. And then next we have like general cognitive processing and working memories. So the working memories is actually our ability to activate the information network in in our mind about the information that we have stored in our brain. So actually, like for example, I'm reading a text about global warming, and then I come across the words that I am uh, rarely use it, but I have past experience with those words. So that's when I recall those memories from my brain. That's what working memory is. And also our general cognitive ability doesn't determine our reading ability at all. And then we have the key issues in second language reading. So of course we face several issues when we try to learn something new. The first one is about the word recognition. It is, as I have mentioned this before, it is our ability to like uh, automatically scan for words that and provide information about those words in our mind. And as a it's actually we do it automatically and easier in our first language than our second language, because but we also do it automatically in our second language. But if we come across like difficult words, it will take us a longer time to comprehend it. And the next we have the vocabulary knowledge. So it is actually highly correlated with our ability to read comprehension reading, because the better the better quality we have of information of certain of words the in our minds, the better proficiency we have as a readers. So yeah, that's highly correlated with our reading ability. And we also have like morphology, syntax, and discourse structure knowledge. So the three of them are really important in our reading ability, because if we are familiar with the three of them, we tend to get easier understanding or comprehension about things, because we involve like predicting and also inferencing. And because we know the structure, we can predict what comes next. So the process will take like less time. And last one we have like the language threshold hypothesis. So its focus is about how we won't be able to apply our first language reading strategies to our second language reading until we reach some points, until we reach some extent points that we are proficient in our second language. So we won't be able to use that until that point. But after we get into that point, we can slowly apply our first language reading strategies to our second language, so we can get a better and a greater understanding and comprehension. That's all from my understanding for today's reading report. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.